Good afternoon. Welcome to Mike and the Hoss on Wolfeboro Community Television. I'm Mike Danais.
And I'm Charlie Hossack.
Did you forget what you were supposed to do there?
No, I guess there was a little bit of a delay. I was trying to turn my volume up. Okay.
Welcome to our social distancing episode 2.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I think this is not going to be our last one, Coach. How's your social distancing doing?
Doing all right. I mean, a little stir crazy. Got out of the house a little bit, just like to run to the grocery store. But, try to get outside, take walks. The dogs are going to be in the best shape of their lives. So
we all might be. Besides the eating part, we're trying to get out. My wife and I are trying to get out every day, trying to go for walks and everything like that. And but there's a lot of time in the house for eating and things like that. And
I know.
Picking. So trying to balance those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So we actually have a pretty good show ahead of us today. We're able to fill things in. Also, so we're going to be here for an hour. We have Alex Stria coming on, and Alex has set up a remote physical activity thing. I will let him obviously explain it
right.
on the Google for all the student athletes at Kingswood, which is he posts something every single day. We also have Dan Place, the varsity basketball boys coach, coming on to recap his season.
Right.
We have Coach Mike Potenza coming on to recap his season, the varsity boys hockey coach.
Which is great.
So we got them in 15-minute chunks. Hopefully this all works well. They have the code. They're gonna link into our meeting at a certain time. Hey, we're all experimenting now. So
I was gonna say, it's a learning. There's a learning curve, and it's new for all of us. And we're doing the best we can. Wanted to talk about just a little bit of good news, or it actually depends how you interpret it. The NHIA came out yesterday with a statement saying that the possibility of spring sports, and they put some dates on the table with May 4th as a potential starting date, and then it was the May 13th to be able to actually start playing games. So there's a glimmer of hope. What are your thoughts?
My thought, it's a glimmer.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that, but you just watch the news. I hope and pray that that's the case, that we're going to be able to play. But it just, I don't know. I'm not optimistic about it. And just to be honest, I'm just not optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm not optimistic we're going to be able to go back to school at that point. And I think that sports could probably happen, but I don't know if school can.
Right.
Based on the social distancing norms that we've been, accustomed to, you're not really that. I mean, sure, in lacrosse, you're, together in lacrosse, but in a baseball game, you're not breathing down everybody's neck in a baseball game necessarily. And
right.
But I think the classroom is a different story. So we'll see. Hopefully things get better. It's just, right now we seem to be on a downward turn where everything seems to be getting worse every day.
Right. Yeah. They were just talking about how it really hasn't even hit its peak here in the United States. So
right.
We'll see what happens.
New York is obviously really hard hit, and they're looking from anywhere from 7 to 21 days before they hit their peak.
Yeah.
Which is scary based on where they're at right now, and then that's filtering through all the cities. Hopefully in New Hampshire, being a more rural community that we are, especially us in Carroll County and Wolfeboro and Tuftonboro and so on, that we have some natural social distancing happening that will prevent it from coming up this way.
Right. Well, it's interesting, and I'm sure you've seen, and hopefully our viewers have seen, there are 7 states that have already canceled school till the end of the year. One of them is close to us. One of them is Vermont. Yeah. So states have already made those decisions.
And municipalities have already made their decisions in New Hampshire that they're not going to be starting sports too. So the NHIA is coming out with those things, but there are some towns that says no, we're wrapping it up right now.
Right. So, and one of the other things too, not just high school. As you know, we're on the Cal Ripken board, and we've had those conversations where we certainly want to have a baseball and softball season for the kids as long as it's safe, and those conversations have been happening. But we're really just going to have to abide by the guidelines of what the governor is going to put out and what our school district is going to put out, and just to see what happens.
Yeah, and the baseball community seems to be pretty flexible, not just the Cal Ripken, but we have an EBL team too, and they're saying we're just going to keep pushing the baseball season back.
Mm-hmm.
We're not canceling it. We're not canceling yet. We're just going to keep pushing it back with the hope of getting it in.
Right.
And us on the Cal board, we're looking at the same thing. Maybe we play a summer season of Cal Ripken.
Right.
But this is new for everybody. This is new for every organization, and so it's and we're all going through it. You mentioned it last week when we talked about recruiting. It's not isolated to New Hampshire by any means. That all these other towns are going through the same thing. So there's some things that are canceled. So Wimbledon got canceled today. Did you see that piece?
Right. I didn't see that. Yeah.
That first time ever that Wimbledon canceled, and now that's late June, early July.
Right.
Wimbledon. So we're starting to push stuff, that stuff out. We have a few minutes before Alex gets here, but I wanted to, I had some things to talk about. And I was listening to the radio, and there's been some discussion on whether we should be, not necessarily Mike and the Hoss necessarily, but whether sports talk is appropriate right now at this time.
Yeah.
And because sports aren't being played, should we be even talking about it? And I don't know how you feel, but besides enjoying doing this with you, I think it's healthy to listen to some sports banter and to get your mind off the the curve and lowering the curve and flattening the curve.
I agree with you, Mike. There needs to be distraction, and for a lot of people, sports talk is a distraction. They like to listen to sports talk to kind of escape, for lack of a better term, escape reality, and it gets them away from the daily grind. And I know that the two of us are huge news junkies, and we're always looking at the news, and we both appreciate politics, but boy, sports talk is just great because you just can, talk about, your team, your favorite team, or your favorite activity. And it's just a great way to
get into the debate. And that's, when you and I started this, it was about just getting into the debate. And some of our favorite times are just debating sports topics. And, with that's happened, we kind of got away from those debates. And I think, at some point we're going to run out of material here, and we're probably going to have to get back to those debates.
Yeah.
It's been fun on the sports channels. They don't have anything to show, so they've been showing a lot of the greatest World Series or the Reds. Right now it's the Bruins 2011 Stanley Cup campaign.
Yeah. And
just reminiscing like that. You can't turn on the NFL Network without seeing a Patriots Super Bowl right now.
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, they had the Giants one on there last night.
Yeah. And then, they're looking at the, like 2013 Red Sox, and it's fun to, reminisce and watch those games.
And I think we're very fortunate as New England sports fans that our teams have been in most of these things over the last 20 years. And so we get to tune in and watch our team and, think about what it was like when they actually, when they did win. And, and taking a step back 8 years later I was doing this last night with the Bruins, and having that perspective from 8 years ago, what that was like, how hockey was a little bit different.
Yeah.
How Zdeno Chara, at the time was like 34 years old rather than 43 years old.
Yeah.
And so
different player.
It was different how much he played during that Stanley Cup. He never left the ice.
Yeah.
So just little things like that. Again, to take our mind off of it. There has been a little news around baseball. I don't know if you picked that one up today, that they started floating around a tentative start date of July 4th.
Wow. Independence Day.
Yeah. So obviously they can't have a 162 game season if they start on July 4th.
No.
But
unless they're playing through December.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't even know if they still could do. Well, maybe 3 months of baseball. I don't know.
July, August, September, October. I don't know.
It'd be tough.
Yeah.
So, but that was for me. That was hopeful that. They're not gonna. And again, nothing's official, but they're not gonna do an official date without some knowledge. And you figure they have more inside knowledge probably than we do, or what we're getting off of CNN. So maybe they feel it's going to be safe. And it's not the game; it's the packing the stadium that I think is the issue.
Right.
And so it's at what point can they pack the stadium? But then in the same breath, I've heard that the NFL season are exploring the possibility of not having their season. So it's all over the place.
It is, and I think it's we're living, unfortunately, in a world where it's day by day. I mean, by the time this show airs, things could be, completely changed again.
That's true.
No.
That's true. Unless Timothy really, puts this thing out there fast. That we don't know what our viewership is in town. I mean, we know what it is on YouTube, but I'd be curious. I'd love to hear from people that are out there about what they're doing with their days, especially as it involves sports.
Right.
Are they looking at some of these? How are they feeling about some of these reminiscent games that they're showing on television?
Yeah.
It would be cool. And at Mike and the Hoss is our Twitter handle. So please, shoot us something if you have something on your mind. So we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, it'd be nice to hear, and even if it's, I'm going to go out and say, even if it's not sports related, maybe it's your, new favorite show on Netflix or whatever, whatever you're doing. So
speaking of that,
yeah,
let's talk Netflix before. Did you watch The Tiger King?
Of course we did. Yeah, we actually watched it as a family.
That was I just couldn't pull away from that.
Yeah, I think it might have been Peter Kelly that said this. It's like watching a bad car accident, right, or a train wreck. You can't keep you can't take your eyes off of it.
You can't, and then afterwards you feel a little bit dirty that you actually watched the thing.
I know.
It was such a amazing cast of characters.
Yeah,
real life cast of characters.
Yeah. I appreciated a lot of your tweets, Mike, because you were like, I can't believe these people actually exist.
Right. So. They were like characters out of a movie or something like that. Yeah. People actually function like that. So it was interesting. But again, I would, as soon as that was done, I was looking for the next thing to try and binge.
Right.
A lot more time on your hands and a lot more screen time. I do want to preview something for next week in case we don't get a chance. Aaron House, the athletic director for Kingswood, is going to be joining us next week. And he's going to obviously share a lot of this, but he is starting an esports program for the kids that are at home right now, done by the teams. And I don't have all the details, and that's why we were hoping to get him on today. But he thought next week would be better because you'd have a much better handle of how this is going to work. And he's communicating with other schools and other athletic directors to try to have some competition going on. I'm not a big gamer. My boys, they certainly play a little bit here and there like most do. But I think that's going to be interesting to see how that looks.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. I mean, as we had touched on a little bit, it's a huge industry. I mean, kids are getting college scholarships for it. People are making millions of dollars playing. So
yeah, huge.
Crazy.
So Alex is supposed to be coming in at some point soon, so we're going to get ready for him. And as soon as he does come in, we're just going to go, right to Alex.
Okay.
But again, we are slaves of our technology right now, so hopefully this is all going to go well. But NHIA, you mentioned those dates. May 4th, the first practice day, which happens to be the first day that you go back to school.
Yeah.
You and I are both close to Coach Skelly, and he's been doing a lot of stuff with the baseball team, trying to get them involved. And looks like Alex is here. Awesome. Alex Drea.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Alex.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. The best part for me, Alex, about the whole remote thing is I get to see the inside of people's homes. That's very exciting.
So, Alex has been kind enough to join us today, and we talked a little bit about Alex at the beginning of our show about what you're doing for the student athletes at home through Google Classroom. And so we thought, even though you were on the show just a few weeks ago for National Trainers Month, I believe that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
We thought it'd be cool for you to join and talk about what the program is that you have going.
So basically, I've just got a body weight exercise program that I've been putting together for the athletes at Kingswood, just to kind of keep them moving, keep them in shape. It's really just body weight because we've got a whole range of resources available to our athletes at home. Some people have literally just the shoes on their feet, and some people have home workout gyms. So I've had to keep it at that minimum resource requirement so that everybody has the ability to do it. And trying to make it a challenge for them has been a challenge for me.
Have you got any feedback from the kids? I haven't looked in on it. I'm one of those people that my boys have a gym in the garage, so they're doing a lot of that stuff. But is there feedback? Are you getting feedback from the kids or the families on this?
So I sent out a survey through the classroom to the athletes just to say, hey, how's it going? Is this hard enough? Is it too hard? That kind of stuff. And I got feedback from about 10 to 15% of the athletes that are in the Google Classroom on that. And the vast majority of them said it was just about right, and that as things go, they'd like it to get a little. So I've been working on slowly ramping that up so that when we do get to come back, we will hit the ground and be running as quick and strong as we can.
Nice.
Well, that's great, Alex. It's was this your idea, or did other people encourage you to do this, or this is sounds like a fantastic program?
It was kind of a combination of Mr. House and myself thought it up. We were trying to find a way to keep the athletes engaged and to keep kind of some sort of contact with them. And we said, well, everybody else is doing a Google Classroom. Why don't we do that? And what can we do to kind of keep them engaged physically each day? And well, I'll make up a workout. Mr. House has come up with a few other ideas for things to release through the classroom as well that are in the works. So we're just trying to keep building it and trying to keep the athletes engaged as much as we can, kind of keep that athlete mindset going, even if we're not on the fields itself.
Right.
Alex, are there goals for the kids to reach? Again, I haven't looked at it, so I'm not really familiar. But like you said, everything's done by body weight. And so are there like number of push-ups compared to body weight or sit-ups or, things for them to achieve while they're doing it, setting goals?
The goals that I kind of mentioned to them were just to, each time we do an exercise, try and do a couple more than you did the time before. When we do cardio days, try to go a little bit further, a little bit faster than you did the last time. So it's just all personal goals. I'm not tracking any goals with them. My goal is just to get them active and give them some ideas of things to be able to do so that when we do get to come back and be on the fields for baseball and lacrosse and softball and track and tennis, and all the other sports that we've got going on, whether we come back spring, hopefully, but some states are looking at coming back not till the fall. So our athletes are in as best shape as possible for them, and having the whole range from 7th graders all the way to seniors in high school doing it. It's hard to set kind of a group goal.
Right. I mean, we were talking that, with all this working out that's happening, if the kids buy in and the kids are doing this, they're going to come back jacked as far as they are.
Yes.
They're not spending their time necessarily practicing anymore. They're spending their time with that valuable off-season training, which, and we know that a lot of them don't do that, the off-season stuff, and that's where you get yourself better during, during the season. You can practice, 30 times a day, but unless you're doing the strength training and the cardio training and the off-season training, you're not going to really improve. And so, for lack of a better word, this is, kind of created an opportunity for these guys to have that valuable off-season training to work on those core muscles that they don't have time to work on because they're playing 3 sports plus an AAU plus, whatever else, school's going on. So I think it has created an opportunity for these kids, and I applaud you for kind of facilitating that.
Yeah, Alex,
Thank you.
obviously, that a lot of people watch this show and not just high school athletes, but what are some things that people could do at home? Could you just describe them? I'm not going to ask you to do them, but describe some things that they could do in their living room. And we're talking about like middle-aged men like me that could get a workout in using their body weight.
Honestly, a lot of it is just variations on squats, lunges, push-ups, pull-ups, those kinds of things, mixed in with I've pulled some yoga videos to incorporate in to work on core, to work on flexibility, that kind of stuff as well. So it's really pretty basic stuff, but really it's just getting the program in, because a lot of people don't think, oh, everybody says, oh, I should work out, but then they go, well, I don't know what to do. So at least this is giving the athletes guidance in what to do, and some ideas from somebody that's got some education in strength and conditioning and working with the body.
As educators and coach, you know this, that very seldom are we sitting down during the day. And I've had a new appreciation for the need to get up and walk around, because being home doing this remote learning, I'm finding myself at the computer for 2 and 3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've started to address that in our house by saying, we got to get up and walk around. We can't get, because as we get middle-aged, I like how you put that, you know, we want to, you get stiff, and that exercise, you know, the things that Alex is talking about, the squatting and just getting the blood moving is so important for us. And I have a new appreciation for people that do spend a long time like that. That is difficult. Hi, Michelle.
Sorry.
Michelle's officially on Mike and the Hoss. It's great. This is Hoss.
So Alex, let's what else? What are you doing with your time? I mean, you know, there's obviously, you have family, you have young kids. What's besides doing this? How are you taking up your time during your day?
So the majority of the daytime is taken up with teaching. So I'm teaching 2 classes right now, and they're 2 very different classes, so there's no overlap. So I'm having to create 2 completely different online courses for the students. And then the big part for me is saying, okay, at 3 o'clock, I'm done. I'm going to go spend time with the family instead of sitting in front of my computer. So I'll take the dog out and we'll go for a walk. We'll go out in the front yard and we'll play. The boys just got little balance bikes, so getting out and playing on the balance bikes, all that kind of stuff. So just
Nice.
getting myself up and moving and not sitting in front of my computer.
Just heeding your own words.
Yes.
No, it really is. It's again, you know, in school we're never sitting down for long periods of time, and this is so different for us. You know, as even now, just sitting down now, it's gonna have to get up afterwards.
Yeah. Alex, Mike and I were joking or talking about how, you know, we're getting a lot of exercise and walking our dogs, but there's that temptation to just eat all day long, because, you know, my office is pretty much right off the kitchen, and it's just hard not to just, you walk by, grab a little something to eat. So it's really that control thing that I have to work on, because I don't have that problem at school because I don't have a kitchen there.
Alex, quickly, could you talk about nutrition as far as, you know, what would be a plan as far as people at home, so they're not just getting fat and eating chips and because it's, you know, there's a lot of downtime.
So the big thing is just finding healthy snacks. A lot of our athletes do an okay job at mealtime of eating, but with this temptation at home, finding something healthy to snack on, instead of going for candy and salty snacks, finding something that's a little more nutritious, something more fruit or something like that. I don't have a whole lot of training in nutrition. It's very basic nutrition training that I have. But really, it's just all about finding balance and limiting those things like sugars and salts and fats.
All right, so I guess I need to make a trip to the store to find a few more healthy snacks.
Those are all the things I crave, right?
Popcorn, just unseasoned popcorn is great.
Okay, I like that.
I could do that. I could do unseasoned popcorn. Anything else, Coach, for Alex before we let him go?
I don't think so. Really appreciate you being on, Alex. This is great.
Yes, thank
No
you,
problem.
Alex.
Thanks for inviting me.
You know, we'll probably check in with you again in a few weeks to see, you know, how the whole program is going, and if you are getting some feedback. So please stay in touch.
Definitely.
All right, Alex, thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Alex.
You too.
We are, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
How fortunate we are to have Alex Drea part of the Kingswood program.
I know he's amazing, and the things that he does, and he goes above and beyond all the time, and everything that he does is A plus. Always doing the right thing, and he does it thorough.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he really is the man of many different hats. Besides his job as a trainer, he's taken over the strength training. He's doing it at home. He's teaching 2 classes. The combine, and I don't know if the combine falls under his strength training hat or his trainer hat. I'm pretty sure it doesn't fall under his teacher hat, but the combine is really well run, and the kids start thinking about what their times are. It matters.
Right, it matters. Yeah.
Getting faster. It matters about getting stronger because they're getting that time. And Alex does a really nice job of running those things.
Yeah. Right.
So we are very fortunate.
We are. I think, just so you know, Mike, I think I'm probably driving Timothy crazy, and I apologize, but hey, this is real life. So, Michelle made it onto the show, the dogs, Abby. So it is what it is. People, I think, understand.
They understand, and we don't have I have a curtain over here.
I see that. Yeah.
We had to put a curtain because just the hustle and bustle of the house, and we needed a kind of a separate place. I did ask my family. I said, we're going on in a few minutes, so they've generally been quiet, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So Dan Place is going to be our next guest. He's going to be coming on in any minute now. We have a lot to talk about with Dan because they've really had probably the most successful Kingswood season. I want to ask him how long it's been, since they've been to the playoffs.
Yeah, I know.
I also want to ask him, do you know who ended up being crowned the champion?
I don't know. So it's obviously either going to be Conval or Bo. So unless they were co-champions, he'll know. Dan will know. Yeah,
and so I think that's going to be really kind of good information to have, and as we bring in Dan and Coach Potenza, besides recapping their season, as they look forward to next season, what they're going to have in mind.
Right.
And there's some things brewing, and I'll let Coach Potenza talk about it, but there's some things brewing with hockey about bringing in some other towns into this, and I'm curious where it's at because I haven't spoken to him in a few weeks. On where that's going to be at.
Right. Well, it'll be good.
Which would also help the girls program too.
Definitely. Hey.
So I can see Coach Dan Place has joined us. Coach.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you? I like what you've done with the curtains. This is great.
Yeah, I did that special for you guys.
Nice. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, again, everybody, we have Coach Dan Place. He's the Kingswood boys varsity basketball coach joining us. And we wanted to bring you in to recap, your super season. And, it's really was that, especially relative to the past seasons. And we want to go, talk about how long it's been since the Kingswood teams had a playoff team. But let's let you start. Why don't you just do a quick recap of your season?
Yeah, we finished 7-11, 15th seed in the tournament. And like you said, first time we made the tournament since 2017. So it was a good season. I thought we had one of the toughest schedules in Division II. We played all the top teams, with the exception of Lebanon. I thought, we took Pelham overtime at our place, and they were a 3 or 4 seed, I think. Kennett senior night, I don't know if you guys saw that game. That Kingswood was rocking that night. That was great atmosphere for the kids. Lost in overtime, but 2 pretty good teams. Thought on any night we could play with anybody. Overall, good season.
One of the things that I really noticed, we talked about on the show many times, the excitement around the basketball team this year. There was a lot of energy, and I think that was generated, one by your son, Dan. Honestly, I think Matt does that for the Kingswood program. But the group in general was pretty positive, and I think the kids like to cheer for them, and so it was a nice job.
Yeah, the Matt enjoys going to Kingswood games. He goes and cheers for any sport he's around, if he's available. And overall, the team as a group, one of the closest knit teams I've had in a long time, probably since that 2017 team with Cam and Pat Myers and Tyler Runnels and Jack Saunders and Sam Allard, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some other guys. Will Truel.
They all blend. It's hard after a while.
Yeah. So I mean, this team was they were a good group to coach, really united group.
Charlie?
Yeah, that's great. No, I was going to ask Dan, who did they end up giving the championship to in Division II?
So they did co-champions. So it was the highest two teams left, I believe. So it would have been Bow and Conval.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
When they canceled the rest of the season, were they at the finals or were they at the semifinals? At what point was it?
No, Division II didn't even play the second round yet. So there were still 8 teams left.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually I was disappointed because I really wanted Kennett to get beat up by Bow. And that's the game they didn't play.
Yeah, that was the next round game. We thought if we being the 15 seed, obviously playing the 2 seed is pretty tough. But if we had any team to pick out of those top teams, we thought Bow, we had probably our best chance of beating them. And I mean, we lost by 19, but what a second round game that would have been. Kingswood Kennett for the third time that season. That would have been a lot of fun.
That would have been awesome. Hey, this is just one observation, and you're the basketball guy, not me. But so Mike and I were obviously at the game against Bow, and we kind of were talking a little bit, but they're starting 5. So when their starting 5 came off, the next 5 came on, and it was like another starting 5.
Yeah.
I mean, they were a very talented team.
Yeah, they're a good team. I mean, the top 4 or 5, even 6, 7, 8 teams in Division II are just tough, no matter which way you look at it. But Bow is, I mean, enormous. 6'5" is probably the smallest guy in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of those guys back. I think they only lose like 2 guys, maybe.
Oh wow.
No, I thought their size really struck me. That Carter Morrissey and Ethan Arnold are our biggest kids that we have, and they look like guards out there compared to the Bow team, and it was. It certainly was a tall order to take on that group because they had the size and they were very patient with the ball too, which kind of surprised me. Also, side note, Dan, how do you feel about shot clock in Division II?
We play like there's a shot clock anyways. It would not affect our offense at all because we get shots up pretty quickly. I would like to see it. I don't think we will. Everybody talks about the added expense, adding an extra person to the table every single game. And, they talk about adding 3 officials to high school basketball, and it's more expense for schools to take on. I think, I don't know if you saw the, I forget, it was a Oyster River, Manchester West game. They were up 12 with about 3 minutes left in the second quarter, and they pulled it out because we were sitting in our zone. And we pretty much knew we'd struggle playing them man-to-man. And that's where a shot clock would definitely have helped us because I didn't want to come out of that zone. And, in the long run, they made us because they were winning the game. So we had to.
Right.
But
So in the Bow game at the end of the second half, end of the first half, they were just, going into the 4 corners. And I was sitting with obviously Charlie and Mr. House was up there also, and we talked about the need at that point for a shot clock because it really, I don't know, it wasn't basketball at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was key.
Yeah, and you can see it limited. It definitely hurt us. If you remember what happened right before that halftime, we ended up coming out man to man. And I think we give up an and 1 3-pointer and then another and 1 opportunity coming down the stretch. And we don't want to play those guys man to man. And our zone was working pretty well, as obviously it wasn't great because we weren't winning the game, but man to man, we're going to be in trouble against that team.
I saw, and I don't have all the details, but on Twitter there was I think it was a girls basketball game, and if you know more about it, please jump in. But the final score ended up being like 15-14, and because do you recall seeing that?
Yeah, I think I saw something about it. I don't know the details, but there's your shot clock right there.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, that one team was, at a major disadvantage to the other team. So they just kept holding the ball on the outside and there was no shots taken. And 15 to 14. These are good teams too. This is these are teams that normally score in the 40s and 50s.
Right.
Yeah.
And, the final was 15 to 14. I mean, I understand winning obviously is the objective, but playing the game the way that it was meant to be played too is also should be part of it. And I think the shot clock would force that to happen.
Yeah, I do too. I wish two things I want to see New Hampshire basketball go to is the shot clock and get rid of the mouth guard rule. Even if it's a 45-second shot clock and not a 30-second shot clock, something like that. I don't know.
Something.
Yeah,
something. Force the team's hand. Because I think if there's a 45-second shot clock, I think those teams realize they can't hold on the ball forever. So they might as well start changing their offense. And, like you guys are. I mean, you guys have a fun offense to watch. And I think that brings in why you had the excitement you had and the fans that you have, because they went and they knew they were going to see a basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you guys were running, 50,
you're not going to see a lot of standing around on offense.
No, and if there was, probably be fewer kids that want to go to the game to root for you. Who wants to root for the corner pass?
Yeah. Hey, Dan, let's talk a little bit of something exciting next year for you. You got a lot of guys coming back. I mean, this is going to be a good team for the next few years.
Yeah, we had, we lost 4 seniors, and the seniors had a great season. Mm-hmm. But really, besides Matt and Ben had a good season as well. But, Brogan, Patrick, and Josh are our juniors. Besides that, the rest of the guys were sophomores, and they got a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Even if you look at Henry Saunders and Cam O, who had a really good season at the JV level. I consider them varsity guys, but they played JV minutes just to get them court time, and they had a good season too. So Ashton St. Pierre, was a very pleasant surprise. I think he's got great potential, and obviously, Ethan and Carter. We've seen what they can do, and I think people forget those two guys are sophomores.
Mm-hmm. You have a young team. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, and you certainly have a core group coming back. You get your point guard coming back, and you get some inside scorers coming back too. And I don't know a ton about basketball, but I think I know enough to say that that's kind of a good starting point for next year.
Oh yeah, you put Brogan out there with the ball and give him a couple guys that can score inside, and Ethan can score inside, outside. Yeah. Carter it really came along as the season went. There's definitely some real good potential right there.
Did Brogan get recognized in the state? I thought I saw something.
Yeah, honorable mention All-State.
Good for him.
Yep, and I think the last guy, Pat Myers, was probably honorable mention All-State as well, and he's one of the only guys that I know of that's playing basketball at the next level right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Right.
Anything else, Coach?
No, I don't think so. Push those guys. Everybody else got to tell these guys to play in the summer, just like I'm telling them, because the other teams are playing all summer long too. We're just not just going to roll in next year and go undefeated.
Sure.
Well, that would be a great start. So we had Alex on beforehand, and he was talking about the workout, the off-season stuff that he's doing that through Google Classroom, the remote learning things, and saying that off-season piece is so important. And
really
is. Those Bow kids, were thicker than our Kingswood kids.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it matters, especially on the inside. It really does matter. So hopefully they're taking some of that and doing some of the off-season stuff. And I think undefeated is a good goal to start with.
Sure, yeah, we're undefeated right now for next year.
That's right. Real quick, Coach, before you leave, want to quickly talk about your summer program?
Usually this is about the time I'm starting to schedule games or decide what we're going to do. Obviously, with all that's going on, that's kind of taking a back seat right now. We're probably looking at a couple options. Great Bay Community College, does a summer league, and I just got a text from their coach, and he's looking to add a team, and that would be a really good competitive league for us to get into. So I'm going to send out the emails and see who's interested in that, who can commit. We always do, if we were able to be in the gym right now, we'd have 2 or 3 nights a week going for kids who aren't playing baseball, lacrosse, and all the other sports that are going on right now.
Right. Well, hopefully we get back soon, and hopefully life gets back to normal. So the boys can play.
Well, it's like, before we let you go, Coach, let's put your teaching hat on for a minute. How's Mike and I have already talked about this. How's remote learning going for you?
It's going okay. Trying to find what works with my group of kids.
Yeah.
I've gone to I'm making videos and sending the video lessons out so the kids can do them whenever they, find the time or whatever works best for them. And that seems to be working for my particular group right now.
Good.
But it's different, it's definitely different.
It's good. Mike and I are joking a little bit just because we don't, by nature, none of us sit all the time. And now we're doing a lot of sitting. So we got to program those breaks and walking around and get some exercise.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Alex said healthy snacks because we we're doing a lot of picking right now. So, all right. Dan, thank you for joining us. Best of luck. We'll obviously talk to you before next season, and stay safe.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye. So
that was great.
And they really had a good season. I think he sold it a little short, though. I think that, and I know the 2017 team did make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But if you look over the last 10 years of Kingswood basketball, this was one of their better years, and that Bow team was tough. They had their hands full against Bow in the playoffs.
Yeah, they did. But it was a great season. Coach did a nice job, and I am very excited because that is a young team. I know, a couple of key seniors graduated, but it's going to be the team to watch next year.
Yeah. So our next guest is going to be Coach Potenza.
Yeah.
And he should be joining us now. He just got out of work, so he might struggling a little bit late. But I think that he's pretty excited about next year also. So and a little bit different that the hockey team did not make the playoffs this year, just barely.
They just missed.
Just missed. So I think that'll be interesting to talk to him, about his perspective. And we didn't get a chance to recap the season, and there were some recognitions too along those lines. So it'll be a good conversation. I had told him 3:44 to join, so it's 3:44 right now. So I'm assuming that his name's going to pop up in a second.
Yeah, I think it will.
We're 2 for 2 on our guests. Everything's going pretty seamlessly.
I think this remote or what are we calling it? The remote, what is it called again?
Social distancing.
So I think it's working out for us because we can get more guests this way.
That's true. It's social distancing episode 2.
Yeah, I do have to say, Mike, I do miss our days of pretty much sitting on top of each other.
Okay.
And not being able to move my arm this way or that way. So
that is true. I miss being in the studio with Timothy and testing our arms out to see how it can go.
Yeah, it's good. Oh, you know what? This would be a great opportunity. Let's thank our sponsors.
Oh my God, we haven't done that yet. All right, go for it.
All right, Skelly's Market, thank you.
Downtown Grill and Cafe, thank you.
Yep, and Morrissey's Porch and Pub, thank you so much for being our sponsor.
Thank you. Yes.
And of course, Timothy Goodwin as our producer. He's doing it all because Allie can't be with us because she's a student, and I know that Jake works back in the office doing his magic. So thanks to Jake and Timothy.
Yep, thank you guys. This is different for everybody. This is. Getting back to the school piece, I think it's opened up a lot of, like Coach was saying, that, creating videos for his kids and stuff like that. And these are resources I think we're going to be able to use for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It is interesting how that's working. I am guessing that Coach Potenza is having a difficult time getting on at this point.
Yeah. Well, nobody's going to stop you from texting him if you want to.
I'm going to text him right now, actually.
Okay.
To see.
Right, as you're texting him, can you multitask?
course I can.
Oh, yeah, I know you can. You're a teacher. Tell us a little bit about your home gym. What do you got in there?
So, long story short, we call it Axe Gym. And when my oldest son and his buddy were like 8, they built this thing called Axe Gym. It was up on our 3rd floor. And they put signs up there, and they were 8 years old, so they didn't know. But they had signs, and nobody was allowed to go into Axe Gym. And so, flip forward 12 years, they're 19 and 20 years old, and they decided that they wanted to re-up Axe Gym. And so this time they had Coach Potenza just joined, so I'll just quickly finish the story.
Good.
And so we built the gym, and they have everything that you could want in a gym. They have squat racks, they have benches, they have pull downs, they have dumbbells, they have bars, they have, and they're really working hard. They're really doing a good job. So, but let's jump to Coach Potenza, who just joined us. Coach Mike Potenza, Kingswood Boys Varsity. Coach, welcome. Coach, you there?
Can you hear us?
Hi, how are you?
Right, there you go.
I can hear you. Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you. Oh, you got a good picture too. Very nice. So, this is going to extend your lead, Coach. You have appeared on our show more than anybody else, and congratulations on that.
Well, I remember, Charlie, one more time and I get the 5-timer.
I know. We're going to order it for you.
That's awesome. So, Coach, we had Alex Drea on earlier, and he talked about the remote learning program that the kids have been doing. We had Dan Place, the basketball coach. He recapped this season, looking forward. So let's start with recapping the hockey season for the Knights this year.
Well, at the beginning of the season, as you know, we had some pretty high hopes for what was going to happen this year. And then we had a season full of illness and injury. And, by the end of the season, if everyone was healthy, we were from 24 down to, I believe, 17, with 3 of them being goalies. So our numbers were a little shorter than we'd like to be. I think maybe once this year we dressed an entire roster of 20. And other than that, we played, I think, 1 game against Goffstown with, I think, 9 skaters. So it was a tough season, but for what we had and what we were dealing with, I think they did pretty well. They had their moments. We struggled a little bit at the end. We had a couple that we should have had that we didn't get. But all in all, not an unsuccessful season. The underclassmen that came in, the freshmen, showed a lot of promise. They're going to be the building blocks for our team for the next few years. So I think we're going to be in good shape going forward.
So let's quickly talk about going forward. We have on the table the potential of some other schools joining our program. Has there been any progress with that you know of?
I had the Michaela Andruzzi, Luke Cassidy's mom, who's a lawyer, drafted up a letter for me to send to NHIAA. I've got some information back from some of the kids who would be looking to play. I'm waiting to hear back from 2 more people, and then we'll be submitting it to the state to see what they have. But right now it's Prospect Mountain, Farmington High School, and Moltenboro Academy, who all would have kids who grew up playing in Back Bay who now have nowhere to play. So hopefully NHIA approves that, and it'll not it won't stack our team. It won't give us any unfair advantage, I don't believe, but it will give us a full roster, which will be nice next year.
Well, I think it'll change the complexion of the team a little bit too. You mentioned full roster, and the teams that we kept going against that really we struggled were 3 lines deep. And, a lot of times we were going in, you mentioned 9 skaters one time. And I mean, we never really had 3 full lines going, at any one point. And we saw what the difference it does make having that 3rd line, or at least having a full 2nd line.
Right. Absolutely. I think at the beginning of the season, it looked like we were going to be able to run 3 lines. And then, it just didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie?
Yeah, no, I wanted to just take a moment, and I don't think, Coach, we've actually maybe done this on the show. Certainly we haven't done it with you. I know Mike and I did it, but just to kind of celebrate your son, Nick. He got his 1,000th point, and I was lucky.
100th.
100th. I mean, 100th. 1,000th point. He's currently in the NHL. Sorry. His 100th point. I was lucky enough to be there for it, and that was exciting. And he did it as a junior. So that's That's awesome. But I just wanted to get your perspective as a dad, because you're the coach, but talk to me as the dad.
Well, obviously you're very excited to see him hit that milestone, but as you know, I'm sure Mike knows, I think it was more nerve-wracking on me than it was on him.
Yeah.
For him to get past it and be able to get back to playing hockey. I think he wasn't overly focused on it. He was a little bit, and it's a bit of a distraction. But I think, like I said, I think it was more nerve-wracking on me for him to get that. I was so excited for him to get it, and I couldn't. We had family who came to 3 games in a row from Rhode Island just to see it. So it was exciting. I'm very happy that he got it. He joined some pretty elite company with that at Kingswood High School. There's not every day that someone hits that. I mean, we've been fortunate enough at Kingswood now. We've had 2 years in a row that someone hit it. Sam last year and Nick this year. So I think we're in a position where the talent level, we've got some skilled players at Kingswood. And we have for the last few years. So it's nice to see, and I don't think Nick is going to be the last one. I think if Will Danais, if we're fortunate enough to have Will for 4 years, I think you're going to see Will hit it as well.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. It's
Well,
go ahead, Mike.
Well, congratulations to you, Coach, on that. I know as a father, and I agree with you, it's probably more nerve-wracking on the fathers and the parents than it is on the player itself. But it's a great accomplishment. So congratulations to you, Nick and Sarah, and so on. It's neat, and it's not when we looked at it with Sam, we looked at it not just the 4 years, but it's really a lifetime of playing hockey for him. And the practices and the off season and the extra shooting and so on. And I think it's the same with Nick. It's not just the 3 years that he's been at Kingswood, but it's been all those early morning skates that we've gone at the Pop and the practices and traveling over to Laconia, and it's a buildup. It just doesn't happen. It certainly is earned.
Yeah. Mike, I wanted you to just obviously I'll let you respond to that, but one thing I'd like you to talk about is we had Coach Place on before you, and then we had Alex Drea on as well. But talk a little bit about what your summer program looks like for hockey and kind of your expectations for the not only the boys program but the girls program, since you could probably speak on behalf of Peter.
At the moment, our summer program doesn't look like anything.
Wow.
There's nothing going on, but the hope is to get the kids out on the ice quite a bit this summer. We do skills clinics up in Plymouth, excuse me, and at the Ham Arena during the summer. And I'm working on for next year preseason, and it won't just be Kingswood kids, but I'll open it up to probably Spalding and Kennett as well to do some skills clinics. And I'll bring someone in from the outside to run them, but it'll get the kids out on the ice. And, I'll have a little input to the point where I can say, these are the types of areas that our teams need improvement on, so they can kind of tailor their skills sessions around that. But I'm hoping to do 3 or 4 of those before the season even starts. Probably in November before we kick off our season and get a bunch of kids, not just our kids, like I said, but some other surrounding high school kids out there and get a little jump start, get them skating before the season starts.
Great.
One of the things that we talked about with Alex was that this whole thing has kind of created an opportunity for off-season strength training, where the kids haven't had time in the past to do that. And besides what Alex is providing, the kids that are motivated are out there, lifting weights, running, and getting in shape, and probably getting stronger than they would normally have. And in hockey, especially, because it's a physical sport, that there's an opportunity for these kids to get much stronger, and not just improve their hockey game, but improve their physical game also.
Yeah, I know the hardest part of this for Nick is when the gym closed down due to this, when they were deemed non-essential and couldn't go. He'd been going every day. He'd pick times later at night where he'd go, and they have that swipe card you can get in and go work out. And he was going religiously, and was starting to really show some improvement strength wise. The amount of weight he's been able to put up was going up pretty rapidly. He put a lot of effort into it. So now he's trying to do the stuff that Alex had sent home. They have a lot of body weight stuff that they can do just to keep going. But he finds ways to get outside and do some stuff. He's got a lax wall in the backyard, and he's got a goal. So he's getting ready for lacrosse season. So he'll go out there, and Coach Manning was nice enough to give him a bag of lacrosse balls. So he's out in the yard shooting, and I think you see a lot of kids do that, or like around their house. I'm sure there's a bunch of the lacrosse kids who are out doing stuff, just in their yard to get ready. And like you said, there's plenty of opportunities, and maybe it's a good opportunity because they're getting some what we'll call non-traditional forms of strength in. They're able to do things outside that they wouldn't. I consider myself to be pretty physically strong, although I don't go to the gym because a lot of the stuff that I do is outside physical activity. So I think maybe they'll get some different muscles involved by being able to, do some stuff out around the house instead of in the weight room.
Yeah, and that's gonna. I think we're gonna see some benefits of that, and the kids that have that inner motivation that are out there working out. I think you're gonna see that the big difference next year on the hockey team on the ice because they're at that growth stage. You mentioned your son and our boys, and it's much harder for us to work out and gain compared to how when they lift the weight they gain automatically just by looking at the weight sometimes too. But for us it takes a little bit more to do it, and so they're in that prime growth stage. So hopefully they're out there doing it, and obviously Nick's doing it, and if everybody else in the team's starting to do it, then you get something really good, exciting happening.
Yeah, I might have to start joining them at the gym when they reopen because I can't let them outbench me. And he's telling me his numbers, and they're starting to go up. So I might have to get back in the gym and get a little stronger myself.
There you go.
All right, so we're about out of time. Coach, any more for Coach Potenza?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, hopefully we get through this coronavirus quickly, and we can get back to regularly scheduled sports. But I am optimistic and excited about the boys hockey program next year.
I am as well. So.
And so is that right? So the next time is his fifth time?
That's right.
Yeah.
I keep track,
I know.
Can't wait.
If you had Alex on today, that means Alex tied me, so now I'm back ahead of him.
The trophy over your left shoulder, what is that?
Up on the top shelf?
Yeah.
Wait, let me show you my wall. I'm sitting at my desk. I don't know how well you can see it. We have all the Bruin stuff, the Bobby Orr and the my wife up in the top right with Bobby Orr getting an award when she was 14. There's some, she's just looking up there. There's some from the She-Wolves tournament that when I used to coach the She-Wolves, there's a couple of championship plaques up there. That trophy that you're looking at was from a tournament we went to out in Lake Placid with a women's team. And they won, I can't even remember the name of the tournament, but that's what that one's from. Well,
nice.
My first pair of skates hang in the corner over there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So
memory lane. You're old. Those things are old.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Those figure skates?
No, those are not figure skates. Toe picks are the devil's work.
Coach, we got to let you go. So take care. Thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye-bye.
All right. So we did it, Coach. Charlie, we did it. We got the 3 guests in, and it was actually it went pretty well. But we are over on time, so I think we're going to have to end this quick. Want to do our sponsors one more time?
Yeah, thanks to Morrissey's Porch and Pub.
And Downtown Grill and Cafe.
Yeah, and Skelly's Market. And, of course, thank you to our producer, Timothy Goodwin, and Jake Cantrell back in the headquarters. Thank you so much. And thank you to you, Charlie, for doing the show with us and with me. And
Thank
hopefully
you.
we'll keep doing it for a long time.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all we got. You got anything else?
No, I don't. This actually went pretty well. So next week, before we let him go, next week our plan is to have Mr. House on. He's going to talk about sports.
Yeah.
If anybody catches this show and they have some ideas for us, they want to comment on anything that's going on, sports related or not sports related, at Mike and Ross on Twitter. You can find us there, and we're also on Instagram. So feel free to find us and give us your thoughts.
Sounds good. And don't forget, go Knights.
Go Knights.